What's up, everybody? Ted purchased Bold Lens Photography, and today we're checking out the latest 1.1 patch on the G9, and we're going to see if it fixed the video autofocus issues. How's it going, guys? First off, I'd like to apologize for the bad sound on this video. I'm testing autofocus with just by myself, so trying to hook up a lavalier mic and move around and test this stuff out, you know, it can be a little tricky. So I'm just using the onboard microphone on the G9. I guess we could see how that test out as well. But Panasonics, they've been really known for being these awesome video cameras, but the one thing that's always kind of been a bummer about the Panasonic cameras is the video autofocus, especially on the GH5. You know, it's such an amazing camera, but the autofocus has been a letdown for a lot of people, and there's some workarounds, and then they made a big update that kind of helped, but not really. And I guess this new one is, from what I've seen on the GH5, a lot of people are saying it's a big improvement, but still not, maybe not as good as the Sonys and the Canons, which are kind of neck and neck now. I guess both of those are pretty good. But the G9, a lot of people haven't talked about the G9 because from what I understand, I haven't used both side by side, but everybody I've talked to that's used both, they say that the G9 works a little bit better than the GH5 on autofocus, and then this patch improved it even more. And just in my testing that I did the other day, it actually seemed to be working quite well. But today on this video, we're going to do a little bit more extensive testing on that. So first off, this is just a quick vlogging test. I'm outside, you know, plenty of light, and I have it on eye track, face tracking right now. Right now it's tracking my face and not my eye. Even if I get close, it doesn't show the eye tracking on there. It's only showing my face. Maybe it's because this lens doesn't have a shallow enough depth of field. I want to test Panasonic lenses. I'm going to be using the 14 to 140, 3.5 to 5.6 for this test, because my only really good lenses that have a shallow depth of field, they're like my Sigma 30-1.4 and my Olympus 12 to 40, and I wanted to test this out with Panasonic lenses because they tend to work better on the Panasonic cameras. So this is just the basic vlogging test. Is it keeping focus on my face? I don't know. I'll have to check it out when I get it inside, but let's just also do a quick test of the old you know, holding something up to the camera and see how that works out. I can see now it's not focusing, but it could be because it's on face detect and it's trying to grab my face instead of grabbing my keys. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so it seems like it was just having a hiccup there. Let's try it again. I don't think it was close enough. I could see it missing focus a little bit. Seems to snap right back to my face just from what I can see on this video. Let's try that one more time. Okay, that seems to actually be pretty good. But when it's a little bit further, because it's trying to grab my face. I can see the box around my face right now. It's trying to grab it. So let's go ahead and try this again, but without face detect on. Okay, all right, let's try this again. So I just have a, let me get down here a little bit lower. So I just have the single point set to a box, and let's see how well this works now. Still not going. Oh, there it goes. Okay, back to the face, back to the keys. I think it might be because the box is too big, so let me try that again. Okay guys, so let's try that again. I made the single point a little bit smaller, so hopefully it'll grab the keys now when I put it up there. Yep, looks like it got it that time. Got it again, and let's just try one more time, a little bit closer. Okay, one more time. Well, I gotta say, it actually looks like it's working pretty good. I think the hiccups that I had were not necessarily the autofocus is bad or anything. It's just it kind of, you know, it's not gonna read your mind and know what you want it to focus on. So, you know, in the case of having that bigger point, it was still hitting my face a little bit, so that's probably why it was focusing on my face still instead of my keys, because it kind of doesn't know what it wants me to do. So anyways, let's do a couple more tests. I'm gonna do, my next test is going to be using face detect, but I'm gonna be moving back and forth. Okay. Okay, so I zoomed in a little bit, so let's see, that way we get a little bit more shallow depth of field on this. So let's see how this looks. Okay, let's try moving left and right. I could see it's sticking on my face from what I can see. I won't know for sure how well it's working until I get it back in, but let's try moving back and forth with face detect on, and while I'm moving forward, and see, it looks like it's keeping up just fine from what I can tell. Now it is actually showing the little, you know, crosshairs on top of my eyes. I'm gonna test this out again, hold my keys up, see if it shows my keys. Oh, there it goes, back to the face. I gotta say, just from watching this, it doesn't seem too bad, but we'll see how accurate it is once I get it on the computer. Okay guys, for this next test, I got it set to 140 millimeters, and then all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna focus on things around my yard, close and far away, and see how it works. You can see it took a little bit there, it was hunting on that one. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It's nice and smooth. One thing that I will say about this is that from what I've seen, some of the Sony cameras, I'm not sure about the Canon, but I've heard the Sonys, you can adjust the sensitivity on how fast they actually focus, because it's, again, this camera doesn't know what you want to do. It doesn't know if you want a nice fast focus like you're shooting action. It doesn't know if you want a nice smooth cinematic focus, and there really aren't any settings on this camera for that, at least that I haven't found yet. Maybe they're buried somewhere deep, but I'm pretty sure they're not on there. I don't know about the GH5 because I haven't bought it yet, but I'd hope that that would have a little bit better settings on it. And you can see this is actually doing pretty good. It takes a second. I've seen some videos of the Canons and Sony that are a lot snappier than this, and you can also see the how well this dual IS2 action is. I'm just hand holding this right now, obviously, and you can see sometimes if it seems like if the focus is off by a lot, then it really takes a few seconds there to kind of grab it. If you're going like, you know, really smooth from, you know, you're not going from a really far distance to a close distance. You're kind of smoothly transitioning like how I am right now going along this tree. Then it actually seems to be a little bit better. And then there's this out of focus area, and then that takes a second to kick in. So overall, it's actually not too bad. Let's go ahead and test out the tracking capability of this. Okay guys, so I have a lock on my tripod here, and just from watching the back of the screen, the little targeting icon is sticking on that tripod head like flies on poopy. And let's just kind of, I'm all the way at 140, so it's kind of a little crazy to control. I'm going to walk forward a little bit, see how well it keeps tracking on it. Seems to be doing pretty good. Let's try zooming out, see if it still holds the tracking on it, even zooming out. Wow, this is actually really solid. I'm actually pretty impressed by how good the tracking is on this. A lot of the other Panasonics that I've used, the tracking was pretty much worthless. The Olympus EM1 Mark II, EM10 Mark II, those were both pretty much worthless. Even my D500, which everybody said was really good, it wasn't bad. It was better than my G85 is better than any Olympus camera that I've used, but it was never as good as the group. But this Panasonic, the tracking on this is actually working phenomenal, and I've been playing with it for stills, and it seems to be pretty good for stills as well. Even if I move really quickly, it sticks right on it. Fantastic autofocus in this camera. Let's go ahead and see if this still works great in low light. Okay guys, so I'm at f5.6, 1/60th of a second at a whopping 6400 ISO. So hey, great chance to test out the G9's low light capability. Let's see how it holds up at 6400 ISO. But I got the eye detect on right now, so let's go ahead and do the vlogging test, see how well it just holds up on my face. And then we're going to hold the keys up. Okay, looks like it's focused on the keys. Back to the face. Keys again. Back to the face. Okay. Let's go ahead and do some back and forth. I could pretend that I'm a boxer right now. I gotta say, even in this crazy low light situation, this is basically indoors. It's a daytime. I got covers on my windows, so there's a little bit of light leaking in from the windows, but that's about it. I mean, it's you can tell by the settings that this is pretty low light. So far, just from what I can tell on the screen, it's actually seems like it's still working just fine. I think they said that, at least for stills, autofocus, that this was rated to -5 EV, but let's go ahead and see how the autofocus works just behind the camera, moving around on different objects again. Okay guys, I got this on single point again, and let's go ahead and zoom in here, see how well this works. Okay, focused on the cane. I got a USB thumbstick right over here. Okay, back to the keyboard. Takes a little bit of time to adjust, it looks like. I got some pictures on my wall here, see how it can, see how well it works on those. It's taking a while on this one. There it goes. And when you're focusing on something like a picture, I mean, there's a lot of things that could really mess with it, especially any sort of reflections. It actually seemed to be a lot better on this keyboard. Oh, there's taking a while. So you can see, just like outside, it seems like it's not too bad if it's not a huge... Oh, no, there's... Whoa, it's going crazy now, guys. And yeah, that's... that one took a while. That's kind of strange. Oh. So I'd say that if you're just looking at using this with a crazy shallow depth of field and you need good, crazy, reliable autofocus in low light situations, well, it's weird. I mean, this is, and I'm pointing at a black keyboard in a low light situation. Let me try to test this again, but let me see what happens when I make the point a little bit bigger. Okay guys, so what I did is I just took the single point and I made it a lot bigger. It was pretty small before. Let's see if this speeds things up a little bit. Seems to be a little bit better there. I'm all the way in at 140 on f5.6. I'm at ISO 6400 and my meter's still down 2 stops. So really, to expose for this properly, I should be, yeah, even at 12.8 at a 30th of a second, which is what I just changed to, it's still, my meter still isn't reading at 0. So this is some extreme low light testing. Now my meter's about 1 2/3 stops ahead. Let's take this down. What's weird is that it's like inconsistent. Sometimes it, so you see how quick it's focusing now? That's really strange. Let's try a test if, let's just try moving it closer and further back very slowly and just seeing how it holds up. Oh, no, it lost it there. Oh, you know what, I might be too close at this point. Now it's just stuck. It doesn't know what it's doing. But in like a practical situation where you're not going to be just constantly moving from one extreme to another, you just need to keep tracking something, I think it works pretty good. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and just try out the tracking mode real quick. Okay guys, let's go ahead and test out the tracking real quick. Just from what I could see, if I zoom in and out, it takes a second to get focus on it, but it's not too bad. As I move back and forth, it does lose focus a little bit, gets it back. It seems like it's doing a pretty good job of locking focus on this photograph. Okay guys, I just want to try one more test. What I'm using is, now I'm using the 225 point area. It's just kind of weird that this, it's really almost the same as single point. Because both of them you could really change the size on how you want them, so it's almost redundant. But let's see how this holds up in the same situation, in the low light situation. And it seems to be, let's try this again. This actually looks like it's working a lot better. Well, it was. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Now it's going really slow again. Now it's stuck. Oh, there it goes. Let's try this. Okay, what I wanted to test earlier is if I just kind of gently move, you know, back and forth, is it going to keep focus nice and steady? And it seems to be, it seems like it works best when you're not just going from two extreme distances. Like as I go across this keyboard, I mean, it's getting further away from me. Let me get at a different angle here. Let's get at a more extreme angle. We'll zoom in all the way. Okay, we're all the way zoomed in. So you could see that the keys towards the top of the frame actually out of focus until they get towards the focusing points. So, you know, I'd say just from these extreme tests that some people might think that this isn't reliable, but in real life situations, are you just going to be switching constantly while recording from an extreme close-up to an extreme, you know, distance shot? And if you're not doing something like that, I think this will work just fine. Okay guys, I'm gonna try one more test. I'm gonna try doing focus pulls just by using the touchscreen to touch focus. That actually looked pretty smooth. One thing I noticed is when I was using that, you know, 225 area AF, this was not working at all. I had to go back to the single point. So it seems like if you want to track in a group, you want to use the 225 area autofocus. If you want to do a tap focus to get a nice smooth focus pull, you're going to want it on a single point. Nope, didn't work that time. There it goes. And it looks like it's getting it pretty smooth. Sometimes I noticed earlier when I was testing it, this camera had an issue where it was jumping back and forth a little bit. So it's kind of nice to see that it's actually kind of smoothed out a little bit. So let's go ahead and test this out in low light and see if it still does a decent focus pull. Okay guys, let's see how this pulls focus indoors. This is a little bit more of a realistic situation for me. I turned on my lights, which are LEDs that are overhead, 5.6 60th of a second at ISO 800. So let's see if this works a little bit better. Oh, took a second there. It's hunting. Looks like once we're in low light, it hunts a little bit on these focus pulls, which for me isn't too. That's not really desirable. I'd rather just get out my follow focus unit and a manual lens. Yeah, you can see it's hunting there a little bit. I really do wish the G9 had a focus pulling mode like the GH5 does. It actually looks like when I'm focusing on my tripod that it's having trouble. It has to hunt a little bit, but when I'm focusing on the picture in the background, it's actually working pretty nicely. So it might just be because that's too dark. There's not enough contrast to grab onto. So this could actually... I think that this could work in a situation where I would use it, which would be in real estate to do focus pulls for my video. Let's try it here, see if it works. Yeah, you can see as long as I got something with some decent contrast, it works okay. It's mostly just on that tripod head where it's not pulling focus because I don't have contrast, but either way, actually I might be able to use this for my real estate videos because a lot of my houses that I shoot, they have a lot better lighting than this room. So it's nice to see that this actually does a pretty decent job of doing focus racking. Okay guys, so I went in there, I took a look at the footage and I played around with this a little bit more, and I gotta say it's pretty impressive. Some people might say that the Canons and the Sonys are better, but I think this is really going to do what you need it to do, but you got to learn how to use the system first. It seems like most of the time that it was having trouble was when I was either pushing it a little bit too far or I just wasn't using it the right way. So you got to kind of have to know how to set it. So I say that one of the keys is that if you're using an area focus, that 225 AF mode, that seems to be working better than the single point mode. The single point mode, however, seems to be working better for doing focus pulls. The face tracking, from what I can see on all the videos, I've seen a couple small hiccups when I was really pushing it, but it really seems to be doing just fine. As far as low light, you could see there's some serious issues in the low light, but those were extreme conditions. I don't even know if some of the other cameras would be able to handle that kind of conditions. So overall, and the tracking, the tracking was working fantastic. I was kind of shocked how good the tracking was working. So yeah, it's whoa. Hey, how's it going? So I mean, my final thoughts on this is that this is actually a pretty fantastic camera if you do need really good autofocus. I think it will do just fine for most people in most situations. The vast majority of cinematographers aren't going to be going out in a crazy low light scene and very quickly shooting from, you know, really close up to really far away shots rapidly with a super shallow depth of field. That's just something that most people don't do. I think this is going to be fine for vlogging. It's going to be fine for most things. Maybe for action it might be a little bit tough because, you know, like I was showing, it wasn't. But even then, I think the tracking might be able to keep up with action. I'm interested to try this out on some animals or some skateboarders and see how that works. Either way, I don't think it's too bad at all. And Side note, 6400 ISO actually did not look too bad on this camera. I was actually kind of impressed. I've been pretty impressed with the image quality on this so far. Definitely a big step up from the G85. I think this is a great hybrid camera. You know, it doesn't have all the features that the GH5 does for video, but it's pretty dang solid. I mean, 4K 60 frames a second. You got good autofocus. All in all, it's just a solid machine. So anyways, guys, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, enable notification, and comment down below. If you'd like to support this channel so I can make future content, check out my website, boldlensphotography.com, where I sell fine art prints. You can also donate money at patreon.com/boldlensphotography, and I'll have links below to all my social media accounts. And hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.